Hi there, it's Michelle from Blooms and Broomsticks, and today I'd like to show you how I gather together my dried flowers when I'm actually making a floral broom. Now these dried flowers are all grown here at Kingswood. As you can see, they're beautiful, very natural. I don't dye any of my flowers. I just rely on gathering them at a time of year when they're basically at their best, a time when you might be thinking, oh, I need to leave those on the plant so I can get the beauty of them in my garden. It is a compromise that you have to make if you want to show the true beauty of the flowers when they're dried. But as you can see here, it's really worth the compromise. So I'm just going to gather a few of my bits and bobs together. We've got twine and I have a few pieces of rope here, which I think add a bit of texture. Now this is one of my finished brooms here. I won't be adding flowers to this one. This one is available for sale on my website, which is www.bloomsandbroomsticks.co.uk. So if you visit that, you can see lots of photos of brooms that I've made in the past. I have been making brooms for around 14 years now. I make them all from scratch. The only thing basically that I buy in is the wire that I use to tie them all together. Other than that, everything else is grown here. The handles are gathered from our woodland at the back of the house, which we call Kingswood. So let's get started then. I'll sort out some of my birch twigs and we'll start to put this broom head together. Okay, so I've got my nice cup of coffee here and I've gathered a few of my birch twigs. Okay, so when I say birch twigs, I actually mean silver birch twigs, because basically that is what our trees mostly are, silver birch. So let's get this where you can see what I'm actually doing. I'll pop those over there. And these are my birch twigs. I usually cut these when the trees have no leaves, and as you can see, they're beautifully bendy. It's no good using old twigs because they will basically just break, and you don't want that in a broom because you want the spring. You want the lovely spring of the birch twigs. So a lot of my brooms are made just without flowers, but I've found that through the years more people have requested that they have dried flowers incorporated into them, because a lot of my brooms are now going for hand fastings and the traditional jump the broom, which is something that is becoming very, very popular, not only in the pagan world but also people who are getting married rather than having what we would traditionally call a hand fasting. These are actually just grasses that I've gathered from my grassy area of the woodland. Beautiful textures and a lovely colour. So what I'm doing today is I'm putting together some flowers to give more of an autumnal colour scheme. I know it's probably not really the thing you would expect for springtime, but well, we're in May now, late May, so I suppose we're actually heading into the summertime. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unwrap all of these bundles. I've got them all just together with elastic bands at the moment. These are carnations. Well, actually they're pinks that I've grown in my garden, and years ago I had an actual dedicated cutting garden because I used to sell fresh flowers, but I don't do that anymore. I sell the odd bunch for weddings and things. I do grow a heck of a lot of roses. I've got over 300 rose shrubs, but mostly I have them just for my own pleasure really, and to give away to people. But yeah, these pinks they dry so well, and they can go in either a pink themed broom, or I sometimes use them in my autumn orangey coloured brooms as well. And then this one here, this is achillea. This comes in lots of different shades. This started off as a lilac, and it's dried to quite a natural looking colour, which again will just go with absolutely anything. Very natural, the colour that I really do like. I'll put that there. Excuse me. And then we've got the roses. Now, not all roses dry well, so it's a case of trial and error, and through the years I've got to know which varieties will dry and keep their colour. Not just colour though, because some roses when they're dry they'll just rot from the inside and then they fall to bits. But as you can see, these are lovely and crispy and work very well in the brooms. Okay, so moving on, we have a few other different varieties of rose, beautiful colours. As I say, it's quite surprising what colour you end up with when you dry a rose, well, or any dried flower actually. It's not often that you'll end up with the actual colour that you started off with. Excuse me. Right, so here we have some beautiful birch twigs with the leaves still on, which is something else that I do like to use, especially when I'm doing a country house theme, because a lot of my brooms are just bought to be either hung on the wall or propped up against a wall, and they just look absolutely beautiful. Here we have a little bit of lavender. It was a white variety of lavender, not the blue one. So that also adds a nice different shade. And here we've got Alchemilla mollis, and she's very fluffy and I love that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put these things together now. It does create a lot of mess, unfortunately, but it's worth it in the end. now that part's finished, and this is the finished broom head. I've just got to trim up the bottom, and now we can go into the barn and choose a broom handle to suit it. So I'll see you in a bit. So up in the rafters I have lots of broom handles, all seasoning. They were harvested last year during the summertime, so basically they season for a whole year. Seasoning is drying out. I've got lots of choice there, some nice shapes too. So we're in my workroom now, which is basically the loft above the garage, and this is where I have lots of bundles of birch all ready to go, and I have lots of broom handles all sanded and worked and ready. These are all fully seasoned for over a year, which you need to season the wood, because otherwise when it does eventually dry out it would make your broom head very loose. So what I'm going to do at the moment is just try a few of the broom handles on this broom head that I made earlier and see how they look. So I do tend to favour the willow broom handles. That one's got a slight curve to it. If I position that roughly where it would go, obviously I'll be trimming off all of these loose ends, but that is how the finished broom would look. It's quite nice, I like that one. Or apart from that, I did notice this lovely birch handle, which has got a really nice twist to it. I'm quite liking that one, and that would probably give a slightly longer broom. But yes, I'm quite liking that one, so I think I'm going to go with that one. The next step is to trim up these rough ends and then to actually get putting the broom together. So there we have it, the floral blue broom with the twisty, crooked birch handle, and it's solid. You can't twist that at all. It's really solid. So there we go. So that will have its wire ties covered with probably hessian or something natural, and then the bottom will be trimmed a little bit just to neaten things up, and then this will be for sale probably on my website, which is www.bloomsandbroomsticks.co.uk, and also I have brooms for sale on my Etsy shop, Etsy, which is Blooms and Broomsticks. But if you just search for besom broom, then handmade in the UK, then they should all come up. I've got a few woodland themed brooms on there at the moment. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing how my brooms are created. I've been making brooms for the last 14 years or so, and every single broom is different because each one is grown through nature, and so they're all unique. And of course it has my logo burnt into the end of the handle. Okay, so here is the actual finished broom. Now my coffee's gone cold because, to be honest, I didn't expect to be making a whole broom today. I was just going to show you how I put the brush head together when I'm putting dried flowers in, but as usual I got carried away, went with the flow, and we have a completed broom. I've popped a hole in the bottom, the handle, and put a hanging string on, and I've finished covering the ties with some nice jute and some velvet fabric just to finish off with the colour scheme. I did also add a little sprig, I suppose, of hazelnut husks, because I thought that they went really nicely with the whole theme of the broom. So okay, so this broom, I shall just measure it. So the total length of the broom is about 145 centimetres. So that's classed as one of my full size types of brooms. So this broom will be for sale now on my website. I probably would normally price this at about, I would say about £88 to £90, somewhere around there. But I'll be popping it on the website at £75 just as a special offer, because obviously it's not a broom I intended to make today. I'll just pop one of my tags on. I also, oh, where are we? There we are. So, sorry, there we go, it's maybe backwards, but anyway, so I trade by the name of Wands and Broomsticks, but I also trade as Blooms and Broomsticks. I have both of these names trademarked, registered trademarked. My Etsy shop is Blooms and Broomsticks, and my trading name is, well, either really. So if you see either of the names, you know that they're both mine. Okay, so that's that broom, and I'll be posting it on my website.